And because I was a little bit heavier for the company, I had to stop eating in order to lose the weight so that I could maintain the solo. I did keep the solo, but they changed the color of my outfit to blue because why? Slimming. So the bulimia took time to heal, but I realized that I was just eating the feelings and the emotions and the confusion and all of what was going and looking externally to soothe everything.
Rochelle Rice is a motivational speaker, author, and educator specializing in resilience and flexibility. Her work focuses on the mind-body connection, helping people build confidence, trust themselves, and navigate change. Through her background as a dancer and fitness professional, Rochelle brings a unique, embodied approach to personal growth and leadership. Rochelle, what path did you choose?
The path I chose was one of movement based in somatic wisdom. And what somatic wisdom is the ability to listen to the wisdom of the body and let it guide you instead of your mind doing all the work.
What's the one thing people misunderstand about the work that you do right now?
I think what they misunderstand is that it's a little woo-woo, right? It's not grounded, but the work I do is very grounded. Grounded in the body, grounded in research, grounded in science, to understand that, yes, the body indeed has a language of its own. We just need to listen.
I love that. And let's take a couple of steps back. So you started your career as a dancer, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Let's go back a couple of years.
I've been dancing since 3 years old in my mother's dance studio.
Oh.
Went to college for dance, worked as a dancer in San Francisco for a jazz dance company for a couple of years, and then came to New York and got my dream job dancing with a jazz dance company here in New York. So dance has always been the foundation for me, the way to turn inward and understand what's going on for me. And also, I almost sometimes say it's almost like my medicine too. It helps me really get clear on what's happening. Not only does it make me feel good what I'm doing, but get clear on how things are going for me in my world.
Yeah. And what are the biggest lessons you learned being a dancer?
Well, one thing that comes up is when I move, and I think this happens with people if they can understand and train themselves differently, is there's a lot of creativity that comes up. The moment I start moving, the ideas are like, psh, 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 and I get so like, oh my gosh. That would be the first thing. The second is when we move our bodies, it regulates our central nervous system, right? Because there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of chaos in our lives right now. So whether it's dance or some other form of movement, regulate the central nervous system. And then lastly, I think it's connecting to the breath, right? We say it's very popular right now, breathe, 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 breathe. But the movement actually connects you to the breath. So those are, to me, the three things that I'm learning just by being in the movement.
So you started off as a dancer, you did that for a couple of years, and then you were also part of the fitness industry in parallel, or was that after you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So working with the jazz dance company, I had also gotten into fitness. I had seen a friend here in New York. She was in a modern dance company. And I went to see her. Her body was completely different, ripped, looking really fit compared to college days when we were a little fluffier, I say. I said to her, what are you doing? And she said, I'm teaching fitness. Would you like to come? So I went to the studio. I got hired right away. Dancers, to me, are some of the best movement teachers ever. So I started teaching at that studio also, and then I was kind of hooked on the whole thing. It was a very boutique studio at the time, small. In doing that, when that woman closed her studio, I opened my own and started working with full-figured women, which was just fascinating to me. I had a woman come up to on the street, a neighbor, and say, how come you're only working with skinny women? And I was like, okay. And there were 8 women in my neighborhood that I knew, and I invited them in to do movement together, full figured, and I loved it, absolutely loved it, like right off the bat.
And that's how you ended up in the fitness industry.
That was it. I was in the fitness industry. I started specializing in this. I call it my blue wave, where I started. I was like right on the edge of it on the beginning. It was only like Richard Simmons doing this kind of work. And what I loved about it is she could move in the body that she's in without having to lose weight or worry about what she looked like. She could still move and feel the grace and ease of movement.
So you start your career off, you spend a couple of years, fitness, dancing, but then you do something completely different now. There are no connections to what you used to do before.
Oh, I can connect it.
Let's see.
The dance has been the foundation all the way through. I still dance today. I still take classes and all. So the dance became the fitness movement. And in the fitness industry, I started speaking to health professionals about working with plus-size women. So I was talking at the fitness conferences, I was talking at the eating disorder conferences, the conferences that had nutritionists and the doctors, the health professionals that work with the fuller body. Weight stigma, weight bias, weight discrimination. And I took a stand on that because I understood never not feeling good enough, thin enough, well enough as a professional dancer, that in doing so, when I looked at these women, they just needed a chance to understand how to work with their bodies. So I felt like I was the bridge in communication from the full-figured woman to the health professional to say, this is how you work with her. This is what needs to be looked at. Put the weight aside for just a moment and then take a look at how this can be different. From everything at the time, from furniture in your room to the size of the gowns to all of the different things to a step stool for her to get up on the table for an exam perhaps. All of this to me was so important to help her feel better in her body and avoid all of that. So the speaking started already in the fitness industry. So now to have evolved, I'll call it the third time, right? My third act, I'm calling this, is to now speak about the somatic experience, the wisdom that the body already holds and how we can work with that as a guide as opposed to just living in our heads.
Yep. Wow. It actually does make a lot of sense. I mean, when you set the foundation as movement, and like an example from my own life is whenever I'm walking or I'm going on a jog, I get the most ideas because I'm moving my body.
Exactly.
And I like the way you put it. So the speaking comes from the fundamentals you learned from being a dancer and being part of the fitness industry. But you talk about disassociation, and you talk about how we're disassociated from ourselves. And there's this voice, there's an internal voice and an external voice. I want you to talk to me about what that internal voice means for you and what you'd want the average person to tell themselves about who they are, what they can achieve. And we set limitations for ourselves, right? How do we remove those limitations for ourselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, centering the body-mind connection in a world that profits from disassociation. If we look at the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, social media, these things are meant to take us away from ourselves.
Yep.
The attention economy, right? They're just pulling for our attention constantly. All of that takes us away from the natural rhythm of our own body and how we lose track of what's happening within us, and we just live from here, right? We forget that this whole beautiful part is giving us so much wisdom.
Absolutely.
One of the things that is so important for me on the internal dialogue is to slow myself down enough to understand. Now, when I talk about the wisdom of the body is always speaking to us. And it's a matter of us just slowing down and listening. So some of the examples are, I say to people, if you have an ache in your back, what do you do? And most people say, I just keep going, right? I'm going to keep going, not worry a thing about it.
Yep.
Some people will say, maybe I'll take the day off. But really what is taking the time and listening, I have an ache in my body. Is this an injury? Is this stress? Is this something that I say the issues are in the tissues? What's happening in there? And so taking the time to really unravel it and understand for yourself and let that be the guide, that be the source. Those are the internal ones. Externally, I will tell you, I was very, very misguided along the way. I was always looking for something else externally to fix me. Fix me.
Yep.
So along the way, it was things like food, alcohol, and then I tried marriage. All those things to try to fix me. The food, as a dancer, I suffered with bulimia. Okay. And the struggle there was never being thin enough, never being good enough to.
Could you explain what that means?
In the bulimia is an eating disorder where you're actually just binging on food and then purging.
I see.
You can purge with throwing up. You can purge with laxatives. I knew them all. I mastered them all. Just to maintain the shape and size that I needed. There's one particular story that stands out really strong still today. It's a foundation really of all my work, which was the director saying to me, the director of the jazz dance company saying to me, you either lose the weight or lose the part. And I had a solo in an orange unitard, all one piece. So it showed every part of my body. Yeah. And because I was a little bit heavier for the company, I had to stop eating in order to lose the weight so that I could maintain the solo. I did keep the solo, but they changed the color of my outfit to blue because why? It's slimming. It's more slimming. So the bulimia took time to heal, but I realized that I was just eating the feelings and the emotions and the confusion and all of what was going and looking externally to soothe everything.
Yep.
The alcohol was next, and I don't talk about this a lot. In fact, I could feel it touching my heart as I talk to you. But again, looking for ways to heal myself, to feel better, to understand who am I. So I thought.
Yep.
But when I sat there in a chair one night by myself at home, and I could, in my apartment, I could look out the window and see the liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
I sat there and I thought, wow, something's really wrong. And again, listening and letting that guide me. So I called a friend, and she said, I booked a massage for you up the street. Go ahead up. And I was like, phew. To go up, thankfully living in New York City, I could do such a thing, but to show up and having had a lot to drink and be able to be cared for and get home and make that decision like, yeah, this isn't it either.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the third way that really stands out for me about finding, trying to listen to what's going on was externally looking for the right man.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that I thought that was going to fix me. Mm-hmm. He would complete me. He would help me. Everything would feel great. Everything would be fabulous. And that didn't work either. So I realized I finally had to get down to really, truly understanding what happened to me, what is going on, how do I listen a little bit deeper to what's happening in my body. So it's that internal, and people know this, when they know something, the question is, do you listen to it? Or do you just move on right by because life is going along? But it's those little moments when you really have to tune in and be like, whether it was the food, I knew there was a problem, whether it was the alcohol. I mean, these are extremes. Or whether it was the marriage and knowing that it wasn't him, it was back on me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's listening and not blowing past that voice that's telling you something.
Yeah.
So that's the internal.
But Rochelle, I think all of us inherently know what problems we have. We just avoid solving those problems, and we avoid having those uncomfortable conversations with ourselves. Mm-hmm. But I kind of want you to break it down on, you've explained how you did it for yourself, but how does that average person look themselves in the mirror and acknowledge the fact that this is a problem and I need to solve the problem? Mm-hmm. Because, for example, I smoked for a couple of years and I knew it was horrible for my health, and obviously there's enough education and information around the fact that in the long term it's going to either kill you or weaken you out. But until I acknowledged that I had the problem, I couldn't solve it.
Correct.
Eventually I acknowledged it and I took steps towards solving the problem for myself. But it's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. So is there a framework people can follow, or is there something that people can use to at least minimize that problem that's constantly affecting their lives?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So there's a few parts to it. The system that I use is listen, learn, and live. So listening to that wisdom, and I'll come back to what you were saying about the smoking part, listening to that wisdom of the body, really being willing to hear what it's saying, not being afraid of what it's telling you, right? Whether it's, like I said, an injury or an intuition that is working, listening deeply and making the choice. We have free will. I say to my clients all the time, you always have a choice. You always have a choice. And I look at it like training like an athlete. You have to always listen and choose those, like train really strong on this. Learn, what is it telling you? What are you supposed to be doing? Many people I find in my work, they know when they know something. Okay, like if I walked into the room and something felt off, they know this. Right? The question is then what do you do? Do you stay or do you leave? Mm-hmm. Or they know there's something in their health that's not going on. Are they listening and learning to acknowledging the health issue? Okay. And then how can they live like that? Let that be the guide of how I'm going to live my life, how I'm going to make the decisions. I will say personally and professionally, right? If there's something off even at work and you know this, you making the decision. So to listen to what your body is telling you, to learn that language, I call it bilingual, being bilingual, and then to be able to live that way. I can honestly tell you, Umer, I am here today because I have finally become honest with listening and learning and living my life. I am addiction free right now. And addiction can be anything. It could be scrolling social media. It could be the cigarettes you were talking. I mean, it can be anything. But I'm addiction free because I have been super honest with what's happening. Now, let me also say this. There's some real issues that people have to look at, and they may need a therapist. They may need to do somatic work. They may need to move their body every single day on a regular basis. So I would say on that one, it requires a deeper look. I have done a lot of that work, the energy work, the trauma work, everything. Yeah. But this to me is, you have to be super honest, and you have to always remember you always have a choice. So you had a choice with cigarettes, right? Yeah. And you can ignore it, and that's what society is hoping, that all of these things, whether it, like I said, the weight loss, the scrolling, the disconnect from the whether it's Botox, whether it's you're not thin enough, or all these things are. We're living in a society that is trying to get our attention constantly, and the question is, will you be able to stand and take a stand for yourself?
Yeah, I love that. I love how you put it. When you're talking about like mass consumerism and how products and food and everything is out to get us, and it's not really for our benefit, and all these companies are profit first, it took me back to the first time I watched Mad Men. And it took me back to the ad men of New York City, actually, back in the day, and how their overarching objective was always, we need to grab their attention as much as possible. They didn't care about your health. They didn't care about if this was good for you or bad for you. And they could not have cared less about the long-term disadvantages of whatever product they were selling. It's become worse now. Much worse now, because now, I mean, everybody's bending the rules, and you can lobby, and the FDA is essentially an organization you can buy out. But I feel like it's also very intimidating and overwhelming for the average person, because everything is bad, or it's made to seem that everything is bad for you, right? So, quick example, we were told that organic food is better for us to consume, so organic milk or organic meat. But nowadays, even the quote-unquote organic milk and organic meat are actually bad for us, because they found a way around selling, a bad product to the consumer, again, to profit. What is one supposed to do? Like, what do they avoid everything? Do they find things that they can replace their existing things that they're consuming? What is your recommendation?
Oh, I love this question. That's perfect. One of the things, whatever we're doing, I always try to train people, how does this affect your body? All right. I love chocolate and I love ice cream.
Same.
love. And eating ice cream for me, it just doesn't agree with my system anymore. I feel sick. No, forget the weight. I just don't feel well. All right. Eating a candy bar now, I love Milky Way, by the way, chocolate Milky Ways. I notice walking down the stairs that my knees hurt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a direct, for me, from my body, this is a direct connection of how the sugar is affecting my body. So it wasn't the dance class I took yesterday. It really was that connection to the sugar for my body. So to me, fine tuning what is working. So whether it's you're taking in food, you're taking in a drug. Some people have to take a drug and it may not be working with them. Then have that communication with your doctor. Maybe the dose is too much. Maybe it's not the right medicine. Maybe there's something else. So teaching that, listening to how, whether the food product, whatever is going into your system, how it's affecting your system. Listen, I love pizza too. And there's some days I want pizza and I'll eat the pizza, and that's usually my body saying, I need some fat today. Like I haven't had enough, even though I haven't taken enough calories in, or I need some fat today. And it's a match. I call it a match. It's a match for my body. So listening, people know, let me just go over to the side part on the doom scrolling stuff. You know, when you leave there, your body it feels exhausted. Leave there, meaning step away from the doom scrolling at last. Your body's exhausted. Your mind is just, to me, my brain feels really crunched. You have to be able to say, like, okay, this is not how I want to be. Am I willing, and this is the hard part, am I willing to get off that crazy wheel of just nonstop? So this is, and it's, listen, this is not easy, but I usually start with people on what is one thing that has happened to you that you know to be true? Whether, like I said, you walk into a room and you know it's off, or you felt something in your system, or you knew you were right about something. So that's the foundation, because people usually have some experience where they know they were right, or they knew something was wrong and they didn't act on it. So that's the foundation of how that all works.
It all starts with being honest with yourself.
You have to be honest with yourself. I think if I could teach anything, it's like, and I call clients out on it. I'm like, that's BS. Like, it just kind of put it back a little bit. I'm not a therapist, but when they're talking about, oh, I couldn't exercise today because my dog was sick.
Yeah.
Hello? So putting it back and being really honest about it and understanding how the system works.
Yeah. So there's a lot of our decision making is led by fear, and then there's listening to your bodies, so listening to your intuition and kind of letting it guide you. And there have been so many times where I've known, like, my gut is telling me, Umer, this isn't good for you, this person isn't good for you, this decision you're making is not going to end up with a positive outcome, and I just choose to ignore it. And eventually I get to the point where I tell myself I should have listened to myself. But then sometimes I'm wrong as well. How do I let either my intuition or my fear guide me in the right way? Is there, again, a framework that you use for yourself?
Yes, I love that. I call it the inner edge.
Okay.
Right? The inner edge to me is, again, becoming bilingual. What you had all the knowledge.
Yep.
You had it all. It's like you had all the answers to the test, and you just decided, I'm going to make up my own. Even knowing that, like, you had the information and you went in a different direction, is a learning moment. And I always try to tell my clients that, yes, it's okay. Understand that. You made this decision. Next time, perhaps it'll be different. And that's where that training like an athlete for me comes in. The other part is understanding our central nervous system. Like, we have this incredible central nervous system that if the fear is there, we'll feel it, right? Whether it's a tingling inside, whether it's up the spine or something. So understanding your central nervous system and how to regulate that, not let it get the best of you. A lot of people are running on a very stressed central nervous system and don't know how to regulate that. The system is meant, if there's an activation, right, and then there should be an ease of a response. Activate and response. What's happening a lot of times is people get, for example, nervous about something, and then they're stressed about something, and the whole central nervous system gets at such high activation that they either stay up there, and that's the headaches, the things aren't lining up right, or they crash down into what we call frozen. Right, where think of the possum that just kind of pretends it's dead truly until the danger passes by, and then the possum is able to come up and open. Humans, to me, tend to be a little bit more, we can be so closed in or whatever. So again, listening to the central nervous system, but coming back to, yes, you'll make mistakes, but give it a try. I'm telling you, this is so worth it. And note, like I said, listen, learn, and live, right? And it will come back to that place of, okay, I learned that. Let me get on with my living until the next time.
Yeah. Listen, learn, and live. I'm going to try that. But Rochelle, confidence, I know that it's something that you talk about quite often in your speaking gigs and just with the work you're doing right now. What's been your relationship with confidence? And then also, how has it evolved over the years?
Oh my gosh, that is such a great one, because I know a lot of women suffer with, I don't have the confidence.
Yes.
And I think for me, being a dancer, there was something about having to be in front of people on the stage and being kind of out there that helped with my confidence level. However, when those other noises come in about, again, thin enough, good enough, what will they think of me? Am I pretty enough? All those kinds of things can cloud my judgment. In coaching people, the one thing I talk about always is posture, right? So the posture, a lot of times we're just in that rounded kind of.
Yes.
We're at the computer, we're on the phone, right? During COVID, I called it the COVID curve because people just rounded over the whole time and not feeling really good about what they were doing.
Yep.
But the posture, to me, is the one thing that can happen instantly to improve your confidence. The other part, and I'll come back to the confidence, but the other part is that people generally jut their head forward, right? That forward. And so helping bring that, the head is 8 to 10 pounds. So you bring that forward, your whole body's coming forward, everything is out of alignment. So bringing that back up again.
Yep.
And this fascinates me because the minute I can move her into a stronger confidence, a stronger posture. The confidence is like, oh, but it's very uncomfortable, but I just love how she feels right away. So it's the head comes back on top, the spine comes up, shoulders back and down. Yes, it might be a little uncomfortable, exposing your heart, your lungs, your breasts, and feeling like, oh my God, I'm breasts first. It's like, not really.
Yep.
You're just standing up straight.
Yep.
And then making sure the pelvis is in neutral. Because again, a lot of times I say women don't need their Spanx all the time to hold them up. They just have to use their abdominals. It's not about doing crunches, but just lifting up. So what I do is there's a plumb line, Plumb, a plumb line from the earlobe that should go down through the shoulder, through the hip, and all the way down to the ankle. And so if you turn sideways, I'll say, take a picture, have someone take a picture of your posture, just as how you're standing, and then see if there's a plumb line down through, and that's the alignment that you're trying to go for. Now, again, it may feel uncomfortable. Yes, of course, that's okay. But try standing up, and that to me is the immediate on the physicality of the confidence. Then the next piece on the confidence is to connect with the breath. And again, people say, oh, here we go with the breathing again. But what I love is to understand the lungs and how full the lungs are and how the breath can come in and out, not just because you're supposed to be taking the breath, but because what happens with it, the exchange, of the breath, the fullness. I think it's up to 6 liters of air into the lungs. I mean, this to me, I think that's what it is. That's what lights me up, is the connection to understanding how our anatomy works. That to me is what, so again, is taking the information that we might know, but dropping it down into the body. The other part when it comes to confidence is the pelvis. And people are like, the pelvis. The pelvis is such this beautiful bones, and the sit bones, which are the base of the pelvis, are the ones that we sit on top of the chair.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of times people will be off of it or forward or back. And so you're not right up on top of it. I mean, I love your club chairs. They're kind of cozy, but I love to be sitting up on top of it. So maybe I'll try this for the rest of the interview. But the sit bones, understanding those and how they can ground us in a seated position, feeling that so that we're connected to the earth, to ourselves. And then lastly would be the feet on the floor. And again, having the club chair, which is a little deeper, it's a little harder, but even in my heels, being able to connect to the floor. So the key first for me is the confidence, is how does this alignment go? And how is she standing in her body? And what is her body telling her when she's in that upright position? Yep. Either like, oh, this is too much, or maybe they'll think I'm arrogant, or actually I feel great. That all those things to me are the first steps on the confidence, is to align the physical body and then say, what does that feel like to you?
Yeah.
I love that.
The plumb, Plumb, okay. And then it goes from your ear?
Earlobe, shoulder, hip, ankle. Yeah.
Beautiful. And what other steps does one take to improve their confidence?
So when I mentioned about the movement part, people think that, I have to go to the gym, I have to go, like Pilates is really hitting it hard right now. But the Pilates I'm seeing is more hardcore.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm not saying it's not good, but it's hardcore. What I really try to help people do is work on what I call a buffet of movement.
Okay.
That you have a huge array of things that you can do. And because most people only they can think of the gym, or maybe even the yoga studio, gym, yoga, Pilates, those are the 3. So what I'll do is what I call the ABCs of movement. A, what's an activity that starts with the letter A? And we'll go through archery.
Yep.
B, bowling. C, catch. Going through the entire alphabet and helping her develop what I call a buffet of movement means you can choose whatever everything counts, all movement counts. You can choose whatever movement works for you on whatever day that is. Don't get stuck in this one. So for example, over the weekend, I was shoveling snow. And I thought, oh my God, it's a whole different, not one that I do every day, but it's a full body movement.
Yeah.
And I feel and use different muscles. And I think the other part is understanding what muscles are working during a particular activity. Look, a lot of people, and I understand the boredom factor. What I see is that people are either on the treadmill or something where they're either most watching TV or listening to a podcast or something, right?
Yep.
I'm not against it, but what's missed is the joy of movement. So for me, like climbing the subway stairs, I'm like, I'm using my glutes. Like my body's like, just thinking about how my legs are so powerful as I move up these stairs. I'm not dragging myself up, lifting up, coming out of Trader Joe's with my 2 heavy bags. Like, oh my God, there's a power and understanding, not like I got to get my groceries home.
Yeah.
So that confidence to me comes from having a direct connection to the movement you're doing and what muscles are involved to make that happen. This is like fireworks in my brain. I get so excited.
No, it's actually so interesting to me, the ABCs of movement.
Yes.
Because we, like you said, we categorize movement as 3 things: yoga, Pilates, and gym. And for guys, it's always the gym. We're just going to do really heavy weights and that's it. And I'll make excuses for myself maybe when I'm busy that I'm not going to the gym, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't have any movement.
That's it.
And it's that example of shoveling the snow. I was doing it very recently, a couple of days ago. And come to think of it, yes, it was a full activity. I mean, my body was hurting afterwards. So it's just finding that one thing for that day to get yourself moving. Because so much of the world has changed, right? Like my work is fully remote. So I'm at my computer 10 hours a day. And without movement, I can feel at the end of the day, my body is telling me, dude, what are you doing to yourself?
Exactly. What are you doing?
You need to move. So the ABCs of movement.
Yes, yeah.
I like bowling the most.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, let's count all of it and
Yes.
say, people say, oh, I didn't exercise. Reshape it. Your body has to just move. And to your point about sitting all day, that comes back to that postural thing where everything the body just gets shorter. And it never gets a chance to fully stretch and lift up. So,
Yeah. Now, somebody was telling me about like how our ancestors never went to the gym. I mean, that the whole notion of going to the gym was not even a thing.
Exactly.
And they look better than us. They were healthier than us. It was just they got constant movement.
exactly.
So it's just how the world has changed. And actually it all connects to mass consumerism, because the gym is also, it's profit first, yoga, Pilates, it's all just about making money at the end of the
All
day.
just about making money.
Hey guys, thank you for getting to the midpoint of this podcast. Listen, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you for giving us a chance to listen or watch this podcast. I've put a lot of effort into it and I'm so happy to see people enjoying it. The reason why I'm doing this podcast is, number one, I love authentic storytelling, but the problem I see is every other podcast or show has the same guest coming over and over again. And I do think that defeats the purpose of authentic storytelling. So my guarantee to you is I will always bring on people with authentic stories, people who are relatable, and people who have lived these larger than life stories. And number two, I just need feedback from you guys. I need feedback on if I'm doing a good job, feedback on if I'm doing a bad job, feedback through the comments, through Instagram DMs. Anything will help me better my craft. I appreciate you guys for getting to the midpoint of this podcast, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Thank you. How do you help people reclaim autonomy when they've spent most of their lives seeking external validation?
The first is, some of this may require some work with therapists or body work or whatever. But what I do is make sure that they understand, oh, that is external. I'm relying on someone else to give me the information. So I think the first is the honesty, to be honest about what's happening, right? Because again, I'm not a therapist, but if you're looking outside to get things right, so honesty first. Then the next part in the movement is to see, where is the connection? Do you feel the change in the breath? I've had people say, oh, my abdomen's on fire, or my breathing is easier, or my muscles feel tingly. Like, that's the language I'm looking for. When they can start to feel that, they become more autonomous because they're owning what's going on right now in the body and not relying on the external. My job is to keep tuning back into, what is your body saying? What is your body saying? Again, this is not a new concept to say, what is my body saying? The work I do really breaks it down so that anyone can access it. And it may have to menu it. Is it feeling tingling? Is it feeling on fire? Is it feeling, like the muscles have all moved? Do you feel the blood pump? Do you feel the circulation? Menuing this helps to create that, what I call that bilingual. I'm able to understand the language of my body. And once I understand that, then I'm not looking externally so much. So it's, first of all, acknowledging the external and what, yes, I am, or no, I'm not, and then listening and what's happening and menuing the sensations through the physical body. Can I talk a little bit about food for just a moment?
Please.
After doing that whole craziness where you're just focused on calories or or whatever, just to make your body fit a particular, number on the scale. Later on in my work with full-figured women, I created what's called Breathe and Eat. And the program was designed around, what does the food feel like in your body? Now, most of my clients at the time knew what it felt like to be stuffed, like after a Thanksgiving or after a big feast, and they knew what low blood sugar was. So there's this stuffed feeling they were familiar with, and there was the feeling of low blood sugar, cranky, angry, hangry, the combination hungry and angry. So they knew that. This is what they knew. But they didn't know the center feeling of what it is to feel when the body's had the appropriate amount of food. And again, we're going into what's the body feel. So the program, it runs where we're eating and tracking the sensations. So first one is, where are you now? And a lot of people could be over on the hangry side, and they chart it on the graph. And then as we continue to eat and we stop and take a breath and take a moment and just even a pause, we're tracking on the sensations as we're going. Like, okay, I'm getting closer to my center of feeling. And the interesting part was the feeling when they got to the appropriate amount of food for their body, they could come up with a sensation. So some people felt home, some people felt peace, some people felt not just satisfied or satiated. I would encourage them to go beyond that. And was the food a match? The food that you chose, was it the food that your body wanted? Or did you just pick it because it was diet food or the right food, that you're supposed to eat? So these fine-tuning of these skills help tune them into their own bodies, not only choosing the food that they wanted and becoming better with making a match, but then listening to what their own body was telling them till they got to that center sensation and they knew exactly, I'm home, for example. I love that so much because it takes all the noise out. It takes all the noise out of it. It takes all the chaos out of it. It really quiets the mind to be able to settle in to the true sensations of your body. Yeah. It goes back to the autonomy. Like, no, this is what my body. I mean, I could put down the same meal for all participants in the class, and everybody would have a different response. Reaction, and that's what's so beautiful about it. You are so unique, and you can do and be and listen to your sensations, not like anyone else.
And as they say, your gut is your second brain, and it's what your gut is telling you. I mean, it's all your body just giving you simple cues on, I like this and I didn't like this. And even I think like from a medical standpoint, it's like your skin and how it's reacting to certain foods. So for example, if you've got a lot of acne, that means there's something wrong with your gut, right? So I have IBS, and I'm fortunate to have IBS because I know exactly what I need to avoid when eating. So it's like coffee, caffeine, over-processed foods. And I guess over time, I've also built this system where I know to listen to what my gut's telling me because it's overly sensitive as compared to the average person. But for again, the average person, it's so important for them to kind of narrow down what they should be eating and what they shouldn't be eating, not based on what people are telling them. So I love how you brought up the diet thing, right? So we'll be following certain diets, and there's a select number of foods we should be eating or a select number of calories. But if that's not fulfilling, and if that's still leaving you hangry, as you said, or if that's still leaving you with low blood sugar or low blood pressure or whatever that case is, over time, there's going to be a negative response, right?
Absolutely. And the match, I think, is also important. Is this the food that my body wanted? Because if we do make a match with the food, then chances are you will not overeat. Your body will get the nutrients exactly that it needed because everything inside of you is saying, that was a match. Yeah. For example, my favorite is like a salmon, brown rice, and broccoli. Not because it's healthy, because it's crazy. Those omega-3s, I can feel them. It's like, oh my gosh, that feels so good in my system. It just feels good. And again, once we can get a little deeper into the body and not so disassociated with all the noise, you can actually feel, this is what's going on in my body and it feels great. Yeah. Versus my Milky Way.
So, as far as your personal journey is concerned, I mean, looking back, dancer, fitness enthusiast, speaker, what lesson has stayed with you? What lesson has been consistent throughout your journey? Like, what's the one thing that you tell every one of your clients or every one of your audiences?
That is such a great question. And I did not always have this, but this is what I stand on today. Trust yourself. Trust yourself, and learning how to trust yourself and be just 100% okay with that. The other one that I share is with my clients is I'll say, borrow my faith until you have it. Because I just so deeply believe in this process of us being able to come to our center and understand our somatic wisdom and our inner edge of understanding this. And I think that the last thing I would share is that it's been a rough journey.
Yeah.
You know, how much I have destroyed my body. It sounds dramatic, but I guess it's really not. I'm grateful I'm still here.
Yep.
I'm grateful, honestly, I'm alive. There's some situations that, especially living in New York, you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's this feeling of, if I could shorten another woman's journey of having this sense of, like, I love the woman I am.
Mm-hmm.
I love the wisdom. I love this sense of autonomy. And if I could shorten her journey, that she doesn't go through decades before she arrives at a place where you can say, I love the woman I've become. That's my work.
Wow. We were talking about external validation. I forgot to ask, is external validation altogether a bad thing?
Oh my gosh, that is such a great question. I'll tell you why. So there's a lot happening right now, as you know, with the GLP-1s, and I'm not going to get into all of that. But before this, it was the bariatric surgery, meaning I'm not going to get into the pros and cons. Before that, it was the bariatric surgery. Here's what you were talking about, external validation. So one of the things that I've seen is that people will start to lose weight, all right? And how they do it, whatever. It's many, many, many ways to do this if that's what they choose to do. What happens is, externally, people are saying, you look great, you look great, you look great. And then it encourages them, it keeps them going, etc. But there's often a lack of internal, you look great.
Yeah.
It's all externally driven. And internally, that voice hasn't worked yet. There's a time when the person, say, finishes losing weight, and people aren't saying anything anymore. That's the external. There's nothing coming towards me anymore about how great I look. What happens? What I've seen over and over again is, unless that internal wisdom and acknowledgement and that deep sense of knowing is speaking to you, then there's a very, very good chance you'll put the weight back on. That's been my experience. I don't have any research on it, but anecdotally, this is what I see happening, because there's too much going to the external. How do I look? How do I look? How do I look? Instead of developing the internal, knowing that my body's off, knowing that I've been eating too much, whatever. But as you continue on the health journey, that you continue to acknowledge, I know what my body needs. I understand my body. I trust myself. I trust my body.
Yeah.
So it has to come into here, or this will never come together well.
And then on this point, you also talk a lot about resilience and how resilience is more about flexibility than strength. What does that mean?
So people think resilient, I have to be resilient, especially to me, it's like, I have to be strong at work. I have to be so strong. It really, to me, is about the flexibility. What is your range of resilience, I call it. I talked about in the somatic experience work, the body naturally can have a rise, and then it should recover, and a rise and recover. So for example, you have a deadline and you hit the deadline at work, and then your body recovers, right? Your central nervous system gets activated because, again, another deadline, and then you should be able to recover. We don't, unless we understand how this works. So I have a deadline and I hit the deadline. I need to either move when I'm finished, or, to get my central nervous system back on track, or breathe, whatever that is. But otherwise, we continue to stay either very, very highly activated, which means I'm not sleeping, I'm cranky, I'm yelling at people, I'm spending money, all those things, or I'm frozen, right? Stuck at home. This is often mistaken as depressed. And I'm not, again, clinically not saying that people aren't depressed. But if you can't get out of bed, usually it's your whole central nervous system is just kind of shut down. I'm going to just do a little sidebar then, if you can. People say, well, I can't move. And I'm showing you this because I'm kind of in my crouched position. But people say, I can't exercise, I can't do anything. And I think, as I say, can you move your one finger? And I can do this on Zoom even. It's crazy. So they start moving, and then all of a sudden things start moving. in the hand, and things start moving. So usually I'll tap into the hands or the feet because they're furthest away from all of this, right? So to me, getting that going, again, it helps with the resilience that an individual understands, I am in charge of my body. I can. I mean, of course, if there's a huge traumatic event, that's completely different.
It is, yeah.
But I'm talking about if I can help the person move ankles or feet, then the rest of the body will come. So the resilience to me is about being able to regulate your central nervous system. It's not about, I'm going to power through. Look, living in New York, we are kind of active. We love to be, power through. We're going to make this happen. But there is a shift happening where people are either powering through or crashing down. Where's the in-between? Where's the flexibility? So to me, the flexibility comes from a regulated central nervous system and understanding for yourself, how do I make that happen?
Yeah. And then any tips on like how somebody can rewire their brain? And like you've mentioned so many times, we have full control over ourselves. And obviously we tend to forget as humans that we tell ourselves that that external situation or environment is controlling my life. But the reality is that we have control. And I guess the easiest way for me to put it is we all wait for the opportunity, but we fail to realize that we have to make the opportunity. So how does one rewire their brain into telling themselves, I have full control, and redefining what resilience means for them?
I like how you put that, because you said rewire my brain, and I would say rewire your body. Right? It's like we're too busy living up here, and I know you've got things going so fast, and I have such huge respect for your entrepreneurial spirit and the way, love how your brain thinks. Most people I'm working with are only living in here. And so I'm not looking so much at rewiring the brain, more rewiring the body. If you enter a situation a relationship over and over, and you have this feeling that's coming from your body, not from your brain, right? But it says to your brain, something's not right. Are you going to continue to stay in it, or are you going to take out? It goes back to the honesty. So the minute we rewire our bodies to be in a state to be able to be, like I said, the bilingual, to understand the language coming from this, that to me rewires the brain. Too often we're making all the choices and decisions from here.
Yes.
I'm inviting people to let the body have a voice. Let the body have a voice equal to, if not louder, than my head. Equal to, if not louder than my head. Let's work together.
Yeah.
There's been too much divorce as far as I'm concerned. It's like, I'm only going here. I hope this shows up. I hope I'll just carry this with me on the plane, and hopefully we'll be together. Or I'll just take this with me down to the street, down to the meeting, and I'll just make sure they'll know I'm there. But hopefully this will show up and do something. But
then this is also connected to burnout, right?
100%. The burnout comes from not being this connected of what's happening. The first being in that very, very, very strong activated state, or being in a frozen state, right? But then the ability to not even access what's happening through here. And people are just flat out. They haven't been able to regulate the central nervous system. They haven't been able to keep up with what was going on and how. Look, sometimes the language comes very quickly to us. The question becomes, at what level are you listening? And like I said, I take this super serious on a train like an athlete. That's like the best way I can say it, which doesn't mean it's grunt work. It means more you're getting that good at listening to what's happening. If my back is stiff, am I going to ignore it, or am I going to go stretch it?
Yeah.
Right? If my body is tired, am I going to eat, or am I going to go to bed? If my stress is high, am I going to go drink it, or am I going to go take a brisk walk to take the stress level down and regulate my central nervous system? So I'm looking at this. Let this be a voice that's as loud, if not louder, than the mind, just to get this straight.
I actually like how you put it. So it's interesting. A couple of days ago, I was really hungry, but I was also really tired. And I chose to sleep instead of eat. And I woke up the next day actually feeling better. Whereas normally what I would do is, it doesn't matter what time it is, I have to have my dinner, I have to get my calories or my protein in. But the way you put it is actually my body is telling me it's fine, we can do the protein and calories later, let's focus on getting that rest and that sleep that we need to recover. Interesting.
That's exactly it. In fact, being tired is is a very interesting one because it gets confused often. The tired could be I haven't had enough water, I'm thirsty, maybe I should eat. Like, so you described that so you did exactly what your body needed.
Yeah.
So you're able in that moment to go, okay, hold on. Yes, that can wait till later. This is what I need. And you felt it the next day.
Yes.
So to me, those are the building blocks. You go, okay, I got that one right. Okay, and then I got that one right. And it starts to build, right, in a way that, again, this bilingual, you understand this and it continues and you build the foundation and you keep going till really your whole day could be like, boom, 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 boom. I got this all right today. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Learning from inside. So we've gone through the fact that you have to listen to your body, and there's another thing that comes to my mind. It's physical versus mental strength. And we touched on depression and anxiety and stress, and all these things are part of all of our lives. It's unavoidable. It's there. It's just what we do with that stress and anxiety that makes all the difference. But when it comes to strength, and I think a lot of people have a different definition of strength for themselves, but do you think physical strength comes first or mental strength comes first? And I know you spoke about how the body is important when making decisions or when leading your life, but when it comes to, let's say I want to move to a different country, or let's say I want to become more prominent at work, or I want people to start respecting me. Does that come from educating myself on a mental level, so like reading more books or listening to more podcasts, or does it come from first strengthening my body? Because you've been in the fitness industry and and I know how important it is to have a fit body, a healthy body, not even fit like visibly, but physically you feel like you're healthy. Do you think that there is a correlation between physically fit and mentally fit?
Yes, 100%. I don't think I can answer honestly which comes first. I put them working together. Right? If my body is fit, then I'm getting clear information.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, this is what's happening with my body. So let's go, for example, you may want to move to another country. Who's saying that, right? Is my mind saying, this sounds, Sally thought I would be great if I moved to Paris. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she sees this in me. She knows I speak French. This would be fabulous. I'm going to move to Paris. Let me just think about this. And my body's like, are you kidding me? It's a whole different way of living. I go through the whole thing. So I guess my question, to work these two together is going to be really important. First of all, that was the external, right? Saying to me, hey, you belong in Paris. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm going to Paris. My brain goes like this. I'm already on the flight. Whoosh, my head has already flown me over to Paris. My body's saying, now this isn't going to work for me because, let's see, the food is different and I need something, or the lifestyle is different because I'll have to drive everywhere. Where I'm used to walking so much, how will I get the activity in? So to answer that question, I think they have to, yes, the fitter the body. And when I say fit, I'm not just talking muscles, I'm talking central nervous system, breathing. Yes, the muscles, postural alignment, like all of that needs to be. And then the language, that body-mind connection becomes much clearer. And it's not a one-sided decision. It's made in with both of us, the body and the mind, working together to say, okay, yes, this is the correct move for me, or no, it's not.
Yeah. That's a refreshing answer. So they're working in parallel, because a lot of people put it either mental health first or your physical strength or your mental strength first. And I think that I've never really agreed with it, because I've seen that when I'm physically fit and I'm feeling healthy, I make better decisions, and again, in parallel. So if I don't have that physical fitness or physical health, then I know for a fact that my mental decision making gets heavily affected.
Yes.
And when you're in a role of leadership and you're responsible for other people, like the number one advice I give everybody, especially young people who want to become entrepreneurs or are, new to the game, it's always, you have to take care of your body more than you take care of anything else, because I think we're all inherently smart. I think we all have our strengths.
Yes.
And one of my other guests, he put it perfectly, is even like individuals with autism or ADHD or just people who are differently able, they all have their strengths.
Absolutely.
And in most cases, they're stronger than us. They're some of the geniuses of the world. It's just how do we take that strength and then combine it with our physical and our mental strength? And then how do we become the best version of ourselves? Mm-hmm. So that's super refreshing.
Yeah, I love how you said that, because I also have worked with people with physical disabilities, and how does that feel? They can feel it in their bodies. Where there's parts of their body, I'll be like, "Can you feel a finger?" Yes, I can. So there we go. Can you feel your pelvis on the chair? Yes, I can. So there's different things. So to your point, yes, there's different able-bodied systems, but we all know, and we're all really, smart. And how do we work them together and in conjunction with one another? Yeah. I love that. I love how you put that.
Yeah. So Rochelle, a lot of the women that you work with they're either part of the corporate world, they're trying to build their careers, but they've also got a lot of external things happening to them. They have young children, they, are either, their bodies are changing, as you've mentioned. Mm-hmm. They're also going up within an organization that in most cases is predominantly men. So how does that woman build her career in the most effective way possible? And then most importantly, how does she gain a sense of fulfillment and content from that career?
Yes, the work I do with women in leadership has a lot to do with, again, coming back into the body. What is my body telling me? Recently, I spoke to a group of women, and the big topic was, should I have a baby? Where culturally, let's say, they were expected to have a child because this is how they grew up and this is how the family was, and perhaps with their faith, their religion, saying, yes, you need to have a child. And yet, career-wise, trying to balance it all out. And I said to her, what is your body telling you? And she said, I'm not even listening. Yeah. Now, I had just shared a story in this presentation about only once in my life did my body say baby. Now, I am child-free by choice, but what happened was one evening I had been with a gentleman that I was dating at the time, and I was like, oh my God, Joe, my body's saying baby. Like, it was just like, whew. And he was like, hold on. Like, he got all nervous, and and then it was gone, and it never came again. So I think initially I knew that I wasn't up for having children because of all the things I was trying to work through my own body. But to have that one experience where it came through once, loud and clear, baby, and was gone, that was enough for me, where I knew, and even to this day, I know that was the right decision for me to not have children. Mm-hmm. So when I'm talking with women that are trying to further their careers and have children, have all these things going on, it's, what is this effect on you? What's happening with you? Are you stressed? Are you not sleeping? Are you having digestive issues? What's happening? And that's the foundation. Mm-hmm. She may not want to get 100% honest with everything that's happening, and that's fine. We can agree. You can keep right on rolling along. But then I think it's easier to take a look at what's happening with my body in leadership. Who wants to go forward? Is it my head that needs to make more money? Is it the external validation? If my body is saying, ouch, like I am not feeling well, I am not doing well, I'm sleeping or I'm not sleeping, all those things, then maybe step by step we start to look at each of those topics and say, how does that feel in your body? Yeah. Like I said, not everyone wants to be honest with it, and I think it's a tough reality to face of how is my body responding to all these things that are happening? But that's a choice. We always have a choice. Yeah,
we absolutely do. And actually, it reminds me, a lot of people want to become entrepreneurs because they think that's just the natural next step. Yeah. But they don't realize that they could, in the current moment, have a really good job that they enjoy, that they're getting a sense of fulfillment from, and they're also getting time to spend with their family and their friends. But they don't realize that taking that route of entrepreneurship is going to take all of that away. And then to your point, it's the body, right? So it's not their bodies telling them to jump on the entrepreneurial bandwagon. It's external. It's all just, okay, you're going to make a bunch of money. It's going to be passive income. But it's such a good point because everybody wants to, like, I feel like a lot of our decisions are not coming from a place of benefiting ourselves. It's coming from a place of validating, from just getting that validation from other people.
Well, I think, again, it's chasing this fantasy that's going on in our head, right? You and I both know from the world of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think I became an entrepreneur before I even knew what it was, right? It's just like, oh, I'm going to do this. Have you read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber?
Yeah, of course,
In
yes.
E-Myth Review. He talks about this so very, very well. So to me, all these people that don't want to work for the man and I'm going to go make a lot of money, it's all head driven.
Yeah.
What's lost is the full sense of the whole body having to do not only everything, right, but the impact on your life. It could have an impact on your relationship or whether you have a relationship. It could have an impact on the way you sleep and eat. It could have an impact on your health and well-being, the amount of time you travel, whatever it is, the hours in a day, we know, right? So the body has to come on board and say, is this really where I want to go? And I think a lot of people, and the reason why a lot of businesses don't
90%.
do well, right, is because the head made the decision and the body was like, can't do this.
Can't
and
do it.
they can't understand why everything fell apart.
Yeah, it's the paradox of entrepreneurship, as Naval puts it. It's just you don't have any work-life balance. You're working from morning to night. You don't know when that next paycheck's coming from. So it's a huge sense of stress and anxiety because you don't know what tomorrow is looking like. But some people live for it.
Exactly. As we know, right?
Yeah.
You have to really be up for the ride. You have to really be up for the ride. And if your central nervous system is well and intact, yes, you'll be ready for the ride.
Mm-hmm. So we've spoken about entrepreneurs, leaders within the corporate world. What about the young 18-year-old just getting out of high school? And like you mentioned, you've had a very, very rocky life with some moments where you didn't think you'd come out of them better or come out of them altogether. So what do you say to that 18-year-old?
That's a great, great question, especially at that age. It's very, I would say to her, it's very easy to get caught up in all the external, but to get the right people around you that validate your internal. And what I mean by that is perhaps it's having a mentor or a coach, but I'm not saying a coach go spend a lot of money on a coach because right now I think everybody thinks they're a coach. I'm just saying, okay? So get a mentor who is willing to take you under their wing because I do feel a sense of obligation to help young women to come along and get clear on what they need. Get the right mental health if that's what you need. But anyone that is entering mental health, to me, seek a therapist or a health professional that incorporates the body. Do not just do work from the head. That therapist needs to help you continue to track what's going on through your body during a session. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
I'm such a, this has to happen. This is like this has to happen. And then lastly, I would say to begin to understand, I'm sure there's some things that she trusts about herself. And if not, what is one thing that she could trust about herself? And use that as the foundation, the building tool to go forward.
I love that advice.
Yeah,
I really, really love that advice. It's just having the right people around you. And also, one thing I like to tell people is don't take advice from people who haven't done what you want to do.
Oh my gosh, we could spend a whole day talking about that.
We can. It's such a big problem, right?
It's huge. It's huge. And I think, to your point, if we're listening externally and not listening internally, we are swept into these other things where, that's why I say don't spend the money on a coach until you get very clear what you need and have done the research on what that person is. But we get so swept up in what other people say they have done, how they can make you a millionaire in 2 days, whatever it is, that you've lost your sense of self and your own tracking system within your own body. Yeah, you have to really keep coming home.
Mm-hmm. So my 3 key takeaways here. Number 1, plumb. So it's from your earlobe all the way to your ankle.
Yes.
It's just your posture and how you present yourself.
Yes.
Number 2, listen to your body, which is, I think, the best thing I've learned today is I need to start listening to my body more. And then number 3, which I think also is super important, is your mind and your body work in parallel. So it's just not being overly dependent on one thing, because while you're depending on your mind, your body may not have the same opinion on what you should do and what you should pursue. Rochelle, it's been an absolute pleasure. Also, actually, bonus, the ABCs of movement.
The ABCs.
I love that. I'm going to start bowling more often now. Thank you, Rochelle.
Look how excited you got just talking about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Amazing. It's a long conversation.
I said to my body softly, I want to be your friend. And after a long breath, the body replied, I've been waiting my whole life for this. This is a quote by Nayyirah Waheed. And the foundation I believe in and everyone that I would love to see is that the most important relationship that you can have in your lifetime is the relationship within.